Hey, it's Trevor here with Yeg Pro Realty in Edmonton, Alberta. And in this video, I'm going to be doing a Canadian real estate market update by looking at markets all across Canada. So that is not just Edmonton, it also includes basically cities in every province, most of the major population centers in Canada. And we're going to break it up and look at each city individually. So I'll give you a little bit of an overview first, but after that, if you want to look along the bottom of the video, there's chapters so you can skip ahead to the cities that you're interested in, whether it's, Toronto or Vancouver or Edmonton or Calgary. All those cities are included. So just look along the bottom and you can select the markets that you're interested in. But in Canada as a whole, we've definitely seen a big drop in the number of sales across the country. So we are seeing a slowdown, generally speaking. There are a few exceptions, and the same thing with prices. We've also seen prices come down a little bit in the last month, or actually quite a bit in 1 month, just looking at the benchmark prices, which we'll be showing you for each market as well. Generally, prices are still up compared to last year, even though we've been starting to lose value in the last several months, they're still up year over year. And most cities are also seeing gradually increasing inventory levels, which is the number of properties actively available on the market. So let's jump right into the video, and just remember to select the chapter along the bottom. All right, so we're going to start with the national stats, and then we're going to move into each market individually. So starting with national stats, there were 37,633 sales in the month of July. So we are using the most recent statistics available for all of these markets, and it is going to be July numbers that we're looking at. And that number of sales is down 5.3% from last month, from what we saw in the June numbers. And it's down 29.3% from what we saw in July of last year. Now, the number of new listings in Canada was 72,815. So the sales to new listings ratio, which is the number of sales compared to the number of new listings, was sitting at 52%. We don't know exactly what the active inventory is across Canada, but we do know that we're sitting at about 3.4 months of inventory, which is the number of months that it'll take for all the homes that are currently on the market to sell if we didn't have any new listings and sales continued at the same pace. So it's a good kind of gauge of the market on what you're sitting at overall. The benchmark price in Canada, the composite benchmark price, was sitting at $782,300, which is down 1.7% from last month, and up 10.9% from last year. So if you notice how I mentioned earlier that in most markets we're still up on a year over year basis, which is when we're comparing this month to this month last year, but month over month a lot of markets are seeing decreases. So you can see Canada as a whole is down 1.7%, but it's still up 10.9%. Now let's move over to the Toronto real estate market, where in the month of July there was 4,912 sales, which was down 24.1% from last month and down 47% from the same month last year. There was 12,046 new listings, giving a sales to new listings ratio of 41%. Now, in terms of active inventory in Toronto, we're sitting at 15,334 listings at the end of the month, which was down 4.71% from last month, but inventory levels are up 57.6% year over year in Toronto. Now, the total months of inventory in Toronto is sitting at 3.1 months of inventory, and the composite benchmark price in Toronto was $1,157,500, which is a 3.9% drop from last month, but still up 12.9% from last year. So this market probably saw the biggest drop out of all the markets that we're looking at today on a month over month basis, seeing the composite price come down by 3.9% in 1 month. Still pretty impressive though that Toronto's up 12.9% from last year. Heading over to the Vancouver real estate market. In Vancouver, there was 1,887 sales, which is down 22.8% from last month and down 43.3% from last year. There was 3,960 new listings, which gives you a sales to new listings ratio of 48%. And there was 10,288 active listings at the end of the month. That means the inventory has dropped slightly. It's down 1.3% from last month, but it's up 4.4% from last year. And there's 5.5 months of inventory in Vancouver right now. So that number's definitely creeped up. And the benchmark price in Vancouver is sitting at $1,207,300, which is down 2.3% from last month, but still up 10.3% from the same month last year. Hopping on over to Calgary, the city of Calgary, we were sitting at 2,254 sales for the month of July, which was down 20.7% from last month and down 2.6% from last year. There was 3,174 new listings, giving you a sales to new listings ratio of 71%. This market's showing one of the strongest sales to new listings ratios across Canada, so it's a really good indicator that that market is moving quite quickly. Now, the active inventory in Calgary is sitting at 5,338, showing that inventory levels have actually dropped by 1.2% from last month, and they're down 20.1% from last year. And there's 2.4 months of inventory in Calgary. Now, the composite benchmark price in Calgary was sitting at $526,900, which is down just a little bit. It's down 0.6% month over month and up 12.3% year over year. So you can see that Calgary is performing quite a bit differently than some of these other markets where they've got lower inventory, lower months of inventory, and a smaller drop in the composite price compared to a lot of these other markets. That shows that it's performing much differently in Calgary, which you'll probably see is very similar for Edmonton, but Calgary is definitely standing out. Now, if we look at the greater Edmonton area, this includes the city of Edmonton and many communities around Edmonton. Edmonton's my local market, so if you're looking at buying or selling a home in the Edmonton or surrounding area, you should definitely reach out to me. You can go to booktrevornow.com, select the time on my calendar, and then we can set up a free consultation call. But let's just give you a quick overview of that market here. But if you'd like more in-depth market overviews, I do that for the Edmonton market all the time, so you can check out some of those other videos on my channel. So looking at the Edmonton market in July, there was 1,975 sales, which was down 23.7% from last month and down 10.3% from last year. There was 3,593 new listings, giving you a sales to new listings ratio of 55%. So not quite moving at the same pace in terms of how the inventory levels are shifting compared to Calgary, but still pretty decent. The active inventory in Edmonton at the end of July was sitting at 8,325 listings, and the change in the inventory was up 3.3% from last month, but down 0.3% from last year. And the months of inventory in Edmonton was sitting at 4.2 months. So that's quite a bit different than in Calgary, but still not too bad. The composite benchmark price in Edmonton was sitting at $403,400, which was down 1.4% from last month, but still up 6.8% for the year. Now, jumping over to Ottawa. So Ottawa had, the Ottawa board had 1,110 sales in the month of July, which was down 26.4% from last month and down 35% from last year. So again, you're seeing another market with a pretty significant drop in the number of sales. There was 2,338 new listings in Ottawa, which gives you a sales to new listings ratio of 47%. Active inventory was sitting at approximately 2,997. I had to do a calculation there to calculate the approximate inventory based on some other stats I had. So the inventory based on that approximation is up 4.6% from last month, and they're sitting at 2.7 months of inventory in Ottawa. So still pretty tight. And the composite price was sitting at $674,500, which was down 3% from last month, but still up 6.6% from last year. Now hopping over to the city of Winnipeg. Winnipeg had 1,542 sales in the month of July, which was down 14.2% from last month, so not as significant a drop as quite a few of these other markets, and down 8% from last year. And they had 2,359 new listings, giving them a sales to new listings ratio of 65%. And there was also 3,700 active listings at the end of the month for inventory, which gives you an increase of 6.4% in your inventory from last month, but also up 9% from inventory levels last year. And the months of inventory was sitting at 2.4 months of inventory. And in terms of the benchmark price in Winnipeg, it was sitting at $351,700, which was down 2.6% from last month and up 6.1% from last year. Okay, let's take a look at the Hamilton and Burlington market. There was 811 sales in the month of July, which was down 18.5% from last month and down 35.6% from last year. The number of new listings was sitting at 1,783, which gives you a sales to new listings ratio of 45%. And their active inventory was sitting at 2,514 at the end of the month, approximately. Again, I have to do some calculations to get an approximate inventory level. And that also gives you an increase in inventory of about 3.1% from last month, but a large increase in inventory from last year. Inventory is actually up 146% from last year. And the months of inventory sitting at 3.1 months of inventory in Hamilton and Burlington. Now, the benchmark price for Hamilton Burlington was sitting at $884,400, which is down 5.5% month over month. Pretty big drop there. But they're still up for the year. They're still up at 6.1% for the year. Kitchener-Waterloo board had 550 sales for the month of July, which is down just a little bit, down 1.96% from last month, but down 32.8% from last year. There was 1,174 new listings, giving a sales to new listings ratio of 47%. And in terms of active inventory, there was 1,238 active listings at the end of the month, which means the inventory levels are up pretty substantially. They're up 24.9% from last month and up 215.2% from last year. And the months of inventory is still only sitting at 1.7 months of inventory. So even though inventory levels have gone up a lot, it's still very tight with only 1.7 months of inventory. The benchmark price is sitting at $748,900, which is down 5.3% from last month, but up 1% for the year. Now, London and St. Thomas had 514 sales for the month of July. And that's a drop of 25.3% from last month and a drop of 44.7% from last year. There's 1,230 new listings, giving a sales to new listings ratio of 42%. And there was 1,855 active listings at the end of the month. So inventory is up a little bit. It's up 1.3% from last month, but up 148% from last year. Months of inventory is sitting at 3.6 months of inventory, and the benchmark price was $624,400. That means the prices have dropped 3.7% since last month, but they're still up 6.4% from last year. Okay, now looking at the Niagara area, there was 413 sales in the month of July, which is down 14.5% from last month and down 51% from last year. There was 1,298 new listings, which gives you a sales to new listings ratio of 32%. And there was 2,201 active listings at the end of the month. Not quite sure what the month over month change is in inventory, but the inventory is up about 127% from last year, and they had 5.3 months of inventory. Now, in terms of the benchmark price in Niagara, that was sitting at $716,500, which is down 4.9% from last month and up 9.6% from last year. All right, so now looking at the Windsor, Essex market, there was 393 sales in the month of July, which was down 27.9% from last month and down 41% from the same month last year. There was 1,305 new listings, which gives you a sales to new listings ratio of about 30%. And there was 1,660 active listings at the end of the month. Inventory levels are up 14.5% in Windsor/Essex. And the inventory year over year is up 120.4%. Months of inventory sitting at 4.2 months of inventory. Now, in terms of the benchmark price, that was sitting at $668,600, which is down 2.4% month over month, but up 18.3% year over year. Now looking over at the Durham region, there were 700 sales in the month of July, which was down 27.6% from the last month and down 36.5% from last year. And the number of new listings was sitting at 1,461 new listings over the course of the month, which gives you a sales to new listings ratio of 48%. And there was 1,353 active listings at the end of the month. That means inventory levels have dropped 4.4% from last month, but they're up 134.8% from last year. And the months of inventory was sitting at 1.9 months of inventory, so still pretty tight in the Durham region. The benchmark price was sitting at $995,500, which was down 4.1% from last month and up 12.5% from last year. Now looking over at the Greater Victoria area, there was 510 sales in the month of July, which is down 16.7% month over month and down 38.9% from last year. Now the number of new listings I estimated to be about 1,101 new listings, giving you a sales to new listings ratio of about 46%. And active inventory in Greater Victoria was sitting at 2,162 at the end of the month. That means inventory levels are up by 5% compared to last month and up 70.2% from last year. And months of inventory is approximately sitting at 4.2 months of inventory. Now, in terms of the benchmark price, in Greater Victoria, we were sitting at $975,600, which is down 1% from last month and up 21.8% from last year. Now, let's take a look over at New Brunswick. We're looking at the province as a whole since that's all the data I was able to grab. So New Brunswick had 969 sales over the course of the month, which is down 23.7% from last month and down 21.2% from last year. There was 1,495 new listings over the course of the month, giving you a sales to new listings ratio of 65%. And in terms of active inventory, they had 3,166 active listings at the end of the month. That means inventory levels are up 10.6% from last month and up 4.6% from last year. Months of inventory sitting at 3.3 months of inventory. Now in terms of benchmark price for the province of New Brunswick, that was sitting at $297,600, which was down 0.4% from last month, but up 26.7% from last year. Now heading over to Nova Scotia, there was 1,167 sales in Nova Scotia, which was down 17.7% from last month and down 17.9% from last year. There was 1,720 new listings, which gives you a sales to new listings ratio of 68% for the month. And the active inventory was sitting at 3,518. So that means that the inventory levels were up 6.7% from last month and up 9.7% from last year. And the months of inventory was sitting at 3 months of inventory. And the composite benchmark price in Nova Scotia was $410,700. That means the price change in Nova Scotia was down 1.6% from last month, but up 26.7% from last year. Now heading over to Newfoundland, there were 703 sales, which is up 8.3% from last month, but down 11.9% from last year. There was 953 new listings, and there was a sales to new listings ratio of 74%. And at the end of the month, there was 3,156 active listings. That means the inventory is down 0.7% from last month and down 32% from last year. And the months of inventory was sitting at 4.5 months of inventory, and the benchmark price was sitting at $285,900. Now in terms of price change, it's actually up 1.6% from last month and up 9.7% from last year. Now looking over at the Quebec City Metro, there was 544 sales, which was down 28% from last month, but up 1% from last year. And there was 865 new listings, which gives you a sales to new listings ratio of 63%. And in terms of active inventory, there was 2,553 active listings at the end of the month. That means inventory levels are up 7.3% month over month and down 15% from last year. And months of inventory is sitting at 4.6 months of inventory. Now the benchmark price in the Quebec City Metro was $321,500, which is down 2.4% from last month, but up 10.8% from last year. Now, last but not least, the Montreal Metro, there was 3,080 sales in the month of July, which is down 24.4% for the month and down 18% from last year. There was 4,023 new listings over the course of the month, which gives you a sales to new listings ratio of 77%. And in terms of active inventory, there was 12,668 homes available at the end of the month. That means inventory levels have gone up 2.4% from last month and 28% from last year, and the months of inventory is sitting at 4.1. Now in terms of the benchmark price, that was sitting at $533,300, which was down 2.4% for the month, but up 10.6% for the year. So that pretty much wraps it up for the Canadian real estate market update. Hopefully this was valuable to you. I get all these stats from the individual real estate boards across Canada, so it's pretty tedious collecting all the information. So I'd love to know in the comments if this video is useful for you. Hope you got value out of it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you'd like to get more market updates like this. And I hope to see you on the next video. If you click over here, you can subscribe. And if you click over here, you can check out another video. Thanks so much for watching.